I used to think the scariest part about driving at night on country roads was hitting a deer. That was before I saw the lights in the woods. It happened a couple of years ago. I was driving back from a friend's house in a nearby town. I took the back way home because it was shorter, but that also meant 30 miles of winding roads surrounded by nothing but farmland and forest. No gas stations, no cell service, just you, the road, and the dark. Somewhere between mile markers 12 and 13, I heard it, the loud pop of a tire blowing out. My car jerked to one side and I wrestled it onto the gravel shoulder. I cursed under my breath, got out, and grabbed the jack and spare. That's when I saw the first light. At first, I thought it was a lantern swaying in the distance. It flickered, warm and yellow, just like an old oil lamp. It was moving slowly between the trees on the other side of the road. I froze, trying to listen for voices, footsteps, anything. Maybe it was hunters or kids playing around with flashlights, but the woods were dead quiet, not even crickets. I went back to loosening the lug nuts, telling myself not to be paranoid. But then I noticed there wasn't just one light. There were three. They floated through the trees in a slow pattern, weaving back and forth, almost like they were searching for something. My stomach tightened. I didn't want to stare, but I couldn't help myself. The lights bobbed and swayed, drawing closer to the edge of the woods. Then, just like that, they blinked out. Gone. I held my breath, the wrench slipping from my hand. I waited for them to come back. They didn't. Relieved, I bent down again to get the spare out of the trunk. And that's when I saw it. A glow. Not in the woods this time, right beside my car window. It pulsed faintly as if it were breathing, a soft yellow ball of light hovering no more than a foot from the glass. My hands went numb. I couldn't move. It wasn't a reflection. I knew that deep in my bones. And then it darted, quick like a firefly on steroids, from one side of the car to the other. Back and forth, faster and faster, until my vision blurred trying to follow it. I panicked. I didn't care about the tire anymore. I jumped into the driver's seat, started the car, and drove. The rim screeched against the asphalt, sparks flying behind me, but I didn't stop. I just kept going. When I finally reached the edge of town, I pulled over at a gas station, shaking so badly I could barely speak to the clerk inside. My tire was shredded, the rim mangled beyond repair. The mechanic asked me why I would drive like that, and I couldn't bring myself to tell him the truth. Because the truth was, I don't know what I saw. I only know this. Those lights weren't lanterns, they weren't flashlights, and they weren't human. I've never driven that back road again, and I never will. It was just after midnight when my car gave out on the loneliest stretch of road I've ever driven. The battery had been acting up for weeks, but I kept putting off getting it checked. That night, it died for good. No streetlights, no houses, just me, my dead car, and a silence so thick it pressed against the windows. I told myself I'd wait until morning and maybe catch a ride when someone passed by. But then I saw her. At first, I thought it was my eyes playing tricks on me. A pale figure walking straight down the middle of the road. As she drew closer, the headlights revealed more. A woman in a long, white dress, barefoot. Her hair hung in front of her face, swinging gently as she walked. I honked the horn. She didn't flinch, didn't move out of the way, just kept walking slowly toward me. My heart hammered. I blinked, and she was gone. The road was empty. I whipped my head side to side, scanning the darkness. That's when I saw her again. not in front of me, but right at my window. Her face was pressed against the glass, so close I could see the condensation of her breath. Only, it wasn't right. Her skin was pale as chalk, stretched too tight, and her eyes, they were black, not dark brown, not shadowed, black. Solid pools of ink. I don't remember screaming, but I know I did. I turned the key out of instinct, though I knew the car was dead. But it roared to life, like it had been waiting for that exact moment. I slammed the gas and swerved around her, my tires squealing against the asphalt. I didn't look back until I hit a main road miles away. When I finally dared to glance in the rearview mirror, she wasn't there. But what I did see made my stomach drop. A line of wet, barefoot prints trailing down the road behind me. I never drove that road again, and I never will. When my car died on a lonely stretch of country road, I decided to stay put. It seemed like the safest option. Doors locked, hazards on, and wait until morning. My phone had no signal, so I was stuck. At some point, I must have drifted off. I woke with a jolt around 2 a.m. to the sound of knocking. 3 gentle taps on the passenger side window. I froze. My breath caught in my throat. I turned my head slowly. A strange man was standing there. I could not see his features, but I could tell it was a man. He just stood there, staring in. I tried to stay still, in hopes he would go away. It was too late. He saw me there, all by myself. A young woman who was traveling all by herself. I felt like I was being hunted. The knocking came again. Louder this time from the back window. I spun around, heart slamming in my chest. It was the same man again, at least I assumed. His shadow looked the same. I was afraid he was going to break the back window. Then he moved back to the driver's side. The knock was sharper now, insistent. And then he whispered something I could not understand. That is when my fight or flight instincts kicked in, and I sat up and tried to turn my car on. I was trying so hard to start the car. The man also began to try to get into the car. He was trying to get my driver's door open. I was just waiting for any minute before he busted out the driver's side window. I saw him draw his arm back with his hand balled into a fist, and I knew what was coming next. I was not giving up so easily. I still kept trying to turn the car over. Then suddenly, after all my silent prayers, it started, and I sputtered out of there just as his hand made contact with my window. He had not broken the window, and I was able to get away. My hands were shaking, and I kept driving till I saw a gas station. Then I pulled in. I looked at my phone and I finally had a signal. I called the police, but they were not much help. However, they did send someone to take a report. The police officer listened to me and told me this was not the first time this had happened. He told me never to take back these dark roads all by myself. Criminals take advantage of people who travel by themselves. I got back on the interstate and I never looked back. I also will not take dark roads in the woods all by myself.